I'd like to introduce everyone to Damon Poole. Damon is visiting us from Boston. He is a consulting agilist for the Eliassen Group. Damon is going to talk with us about the butterfly effect. So how to affect a large amount of change with a very small amount of effort. Right now, Damon is starting a new venture, but he is also an entrepreneur and a software industry veteran. Prior to his current role, Damon was chief agilist at the Eliassen Group, where he was responsible for their Agile delivery program and their engagement approach, which helps organizations adopt the principles and practice that lead to Agile benefits. Damon has trained thousands of people on Agile, including me, and most recently created the Agile Coach Workshop, Accelerator Workshop, and Transformation Workshop. He has provided Agile guidance for a variety of organizations. Here in Canada, Oanda, and Ivari, and in the US, Fidelity, Ford, Capital One. Damon speaks at international conferences, including the Agile Alliance event, and also Agile Eastern Europe. Many of the interactive activities that we've done at this meetup have been sourced from material that Damon originated. And so I wanted to give you a big thank you for your past and present contributions to our meetup.
Just to clarify, I'm very creative, but I didn't originate all of them. I was just sort of passing them on. I was talking to Gil here and some other coaches, and we're not really sure where they come from. They just come from out of the ether, and then we pass them on. But then we also, very many of us, do create some of our own things as well. That's great. So I'm going to talk to you today about the butterfly effect. So I guess Jillian just said all of that already. And also ran Agile New England. So I just wanted to say Agile New England is fantastic. One of the things I noticed that you guys are doing that is very unique and original in my experience is this whole group activity thing. And I'm used to very often going to a group that's all, table after, long table after long table classroom style. So this is really fantastic. So the key takeaway, if there's just one thing that you learn from all of this, is people tend to do the things that they want to do. Now, you might already know that, but that also happens when you're trying to affect change, right? So you want to figure out what are the things that people want to do and help them do those things. Now, you might think, well, no, that's not right, right? So if I'm an Agile coach, or I'm an Agilist, or I'm a change agent, I need to figure out what they need to do, and I need to help them do those things. Okay, good luck. Don't know how that's going to work. And as you work in larger organizations, you will find that the influence that you have gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so to affect a large number of people, you have to do some pretty interesting things. So the idea of the butterfly effect came from this man here, Edward Lorenz, and actually has a much longer quote that has to do with chaos theory and invariance and all the stuff that, like, you read two sentences and already you've got a headache. But I like what he's got here. So the basic idea is, right, so a butterfly flutters its wings and it causes a hurricane somewhere halfway around the world, because he found that when he did his simulations, if he was off by like some tiny little number at the start, completely different weather would come from his simulation. So now it's come to be known as some small thing happens and it has a big effect, and I like that idea, right? So if you, as an Agilist or a change agent, are trying to affect a lot of change, you are like a butterfly. You can hardly do anything, trust me. Right? There's not a lot you can do. So with what you can do, you want to have as much impact with that as you possibly can. So I'm going to go through a couple of different things on that theme, and I hope they seem interrelated. So we'll see how that goes. So really, as has sort of been said already, you want to try to achieve the best results with the least effort. And let me tell you, animating that took a lot of effort. So you've probably heard of the satir change model, or you may have heard of the satir change model. And a change is introduced, and then there's chaos and all that kind of stuff. There's also the Tuckman change model that says that teams go through these different phases of forming, storming, norming, and performing. You've probably heard that, right? At the end of the day, it's kind of all the same. It kind of looks like this. People are going along doing something. They have a certain amount of effectiveness with whatever that thing is, right? And then a change is introduced, and all hell breaks loose. Very infrequently do you make a change and people are like, wow, this is so much better, I love it. Yeah, that generally doesn't happen. Generally what happens, there are people like, why do we have to do this? Why can't we go back to the other way? I've got all these other things I need to do, and you want me to do that too? Right? And then at some point, people go, oh, I see why I'm doing that. I get it. Oh, this makes so much sense. This solves that problem, and it solves that problem. And life gets a little bit better, right? And better. And then as it gets integrated into what people are doing, they hit a new level of effectiveness. But that can only happen if it's supported, right? And we'll talk more about that. So the basic idea is you're going along, change is introduced, you either have that aha moment or you don't. If you don't, you're going to return to the old ways, right? Just didn't work, forget it. We got to get work done, right? We got to get this release out. We got to make this client happy, whatever it is. Let's do it the way we know how to do it. So that's the basic thing there. This is really hard for change agents. Perception is reality. So I was talking to this one coach, and he says, Damon, they just don't understand that they have to do continuous integration. I said, oh, they have to? They must. Oh, why is that? They're shipping bugs left and right. They've got downtime. They got all these maintenance windows and all this. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. So before you came, were they in business? Yup. Are they still in business? Yup. I don't think they need to. I don't think they need to. I think you would like them to. I think you would like them to. And he goes, no, they have to. I said, okay. So why are you telling me this? And he says, well, because I want you to help me understand how to tell them that they need to do it. I must just not be telling them correctly. I said, so you told them? Yes. What did they say? We don't need to do it. Like, okay. Are there other things that they want to do? Yes, but this is the thing that they should do. All right, so perception is reality. And another way to look at this is, you're working with somebody and you're talking about the bugs that they have or the problems that they have, the team dynamic issues that they have, and they say, well, don't you like my beautiful house? I picked out the color yellow perfectly to match with the trim, and so the landscaping is beautiful, and I like it. I don't understand why you're telling me if there's a problem. Look, but you, because you're trying to affect a change, there's something that you know that you're trying to bring to the organization, right? Some change. You know that an 80-person team sending 10 representatives to the stand-up is not what was meant by a stand-up, right? You know what happens from that. When you get representatives and it's not really a 10-person team, it's not really an 8-person team, it's like an 80-person team. You know where that's going to go. Or whatever it is, whatever the changes that you're trying to bring in that you have experience with. And so you have what I like to call either X-ray vision or supervision. You can see things that other people can't see. This is what you see. You're like, whoa, okay, maybe you painted it yellow, but it's not yellow anymore. And maybe you had some nice, trim, but it's gone. And that dripping sound, it's a leak, right? So it could be that they're doing manual testing and they think that having an army of manual testers is the right way to go, right? They don't understand, what is this thing about unit tests? We test all the units with people. So what's the problem? Right? So if this is what they see, then this is reality. And you can't just say it's that, because they don't see it. They see this. So what can you do? Well, I think the way to think about this in general is, I'm going to use coach and coachee here, or I might use client or whatever. change agent, but it's all the same thing. It's you trying to affect a change and the person or people you're trying to affect the change with, on behalf of, right? So as a coach, let's say, you see all these opportunities and problems because you've seen them before. You're like, oh, look, another bad stand-up. Oh, another retrospective that is a gripe session, right? You've seen it before. You know how to fix these things. You see opportunities that other folks don't see. So, but the thing is, that's what you see, right? So what do they see? They may not see any of that. They may only see a little bit of it. And you know what? They're going to see things that you can't see, right? So maybe you're in the financial sector, and you're working with a financial client, and you're used to working with, I don't know, pure software company. So when they start talking about transaction processing, you're lost. And maybe there's something that you want to introduce that it's actually the wrong idea because of the particular domain that you're in. So there are going to be things that you can't see that you need to be aware of. So part of the basic idea here in maximizing your effect is to look for the things that you see that you believe would be valuable that they also see. Focus on those things. Now, an easy criticism is, but what if those are worthless? Hey, at least you get the idea of working together, and then they might trust you a little bit more, you have some shared success. But it's a starting place, right? It's just the idea, to get the idea that just because you see it doesn't mean that they see it. All right? So, as an example of how to use this. So I'll just let you read through this amazing stand-up meeting. Just give you a minute to read through it, see what you think. Okay, good stand-up. See you tomorrow. Has anybody been in this stand-up? Anybody? Okay, and I should ask a different question. How many people have been to a stand-up meeting? Okay, it's like the same number. Okay. Okay, yeah. So the thing is that when people walk out of this meeting, they don't see that there's a problem here. They don't see it. They went to the training. They did the thing. Here's what I did. I was in a meeting that has nothing to do with this user story. Check. Today I'm going to work on something that has nothing to do with this team. Check. No impediments. Right? Fantastic, I did it. Everything's good. I don't see a problem. So I was working with a group, possibly in this area, maybe not. And I walked in, and I happened to know that it was day 9 of 10 for their iteration. And they were looking through Jira, right? And so they looked at this, they did the stand-up, and they started to walk away. Now it looks all right, right? There's just a few things left to go, maybe, I don't know. So I don't know if it's clear, but there's a scroll, yeah, it didn't come out too well, but there's a scroll bar there, right? So you can see something hidden down there. So I knew, because I've done this a lot, when they scrolled up and down, I did a mental model of the whole board. And what I saw was this, which was a disaster. They were screwed. They were screwed. But they didn't see that. They were happily walking away. So I said, oh, wait a minute, because they couldn't see it. I said, wait a minute. I know in Jira there's this little thing you can turn off, the swim lanes, and it's not a problem unless the administrators locked it down, in which case it doesn't work. Turns out you can do that too. Please don't do that. They unchecked it, and they were standing around like this. Oh my God! What are we going to do? We're going to do this, we're going to do that, oh my God. Oh. And I just stood back and I watched it happen because they could see it. They could see the problem. I didn't have to do anything, right? Sometimes just by helping somebody see the problem, they will take it on. So the question there was, you know, what did they not see? So that was where you have to use your experience to figure out why don't they see what I see. And sometimes it's education, just saying, like, one of the things I've done in the past is do that, and people are like, yep, that's a nice overview. Anyway, so off we go. Like, what did they not see there? They didn't see that it was important to have all the work done at the end of the iteration, because they knew they had 6 months to the release date. right? So what they needed to see was simple math. Like if you're behind by 2 weeks after 2 weeks, that doesn't add up very well, right? So that was the thing there. So the next part of this is sort of a extension of that idea, is okay, you've decided, this team has decided, we see a problem, we see an opportunity, and as a team we want to attack it. And you're in there as the change agent, you're helping them, and they see exactly one option, and that's what they want to do. That's cool. So part of it is helping people see what the solutions are as well, right? And so you want to make sure that, you know, there's all these, the doors represent pathways to the same goal, right? So there's all kinds of different ways to remove an impediment, to exploit an opportunity, whatever. So part of your job as a change agent is also to help them see what the different options are, right? Not to give them the option. A common thing change agents do is they say, and I know you've probably done this, don't feel bad, I've done it. The trick is to get them to see your idea as their idea. No, don't do that. That's not the idea. And so actually it's really fantastic that you guys just did that Lego exercise, because I'm hoping that one of the takeaways that you had from that was the shared idea is much better than any individual idea. So maybe as the change agent, you're putting in some things that they hadn't heard of before, and then they pull it into the overall vision, right? So again, it's, you want to figure out what people want to do, what they know about, find out, you know, what can they see, what can they not see, and help out by adding things, helping them see what you see. Okay, so one of the tools for this is something called ADKAR, right? It's a really cool acronym, ADKAR. I didn't invent it, it's been around for a long time. It's an individual change model. So the truth is, if you've been doing this for a while, you know this too, you cannot change organizations, period. All you can do is help individuals change. And if enough individuals change, then the organization will change. All right, so this is an individual change model. Awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement, it's pretty straightforward. So what this is saying is that for somebody to change, they have to be aware of the need to change, right? So let's see, don't have any shirts, buttons unbuttoned, but if I had a button unbuttoned and somebody pointed it out, I'd be like, ooh, yes, that's a change I need to make. I'm very aware of that, right? And a desire of the individual to change, right? So I'm aware that some change needs to be made. I don't really feel like making it right now. We'll do it another time, right? So for me, I'm trying to sell my house. I'm aware that it needs paint. I didn't have a lot of desire to repaint it, but then when I talked to a realtor and she told me, okay, it's this if you paint, this if you don't, it is now painted, right? So knowledge of how to make the change, well, I hired somebody to do that, right? So the idea here is for somebody to make a change, they need to be aware of the change. They need to have the desire to change, knowledge of how to make the change, the ability to make the change. What's the difference there? Okay, so I know how to do it, but I have never done it before. And then reinforcement. I don't really particularly like the reinforcement thing. That sounds very draconian or something. Like, oh, you must make the change. No. So what this really means is that as an organization or as a change agent, somebody who's influencing this change, you want to support the change, okay? So for instance, it would be, you know, I know you've got a lot of work to do. I know you're really stressed, but we're going to add retrospectives because that's what your team wanted to do. And to support you in this, it's okay if the amount of work that you guys get done as a team is lower this month. It's okay. Don't worry. That's the organization supporting you. Because without the support, you know, it's like, okay, you want me to make the change? That's great. I got a lot of work to do. I want to get my bonus. I want to get paid. I want to keep my job. Not doing it, right? So people need that support. So that's the basic idea there. Some of the things that take away from the desire to change are that it feels risky, right? So before saying this is the date we're going to change, you might want to get people's opinions like, do you feel comfortable? No, I think it's a risk because of this reason. Okay, let's address that. Right, so you can have the slides, there'll be the video. Not going to go through each one in detail, but the idea is that the more risk, the more unknowns, the more stressed people are, the more overloaded they are, the least that they see what's in it for me, the more likely that they're going to have no desire to do it. On the other hand, if they're trained, supported, they're given slack like we were just talking about, and there's clear benefits to them, and they're involved in what change are we going to make, it's more likely that they're going to have a desire to make that change, whatever the change is. Find the butterflies, the things that will take a small effort. Everybody already wants to do it, right? And then going through this, it's going to be the same thing. The same thing is going to happen, right? Should be simpler because the team wants to do it, right? They have some knowledge of how to do it. It's going to be simpler. So basic idea there, all right? Next, you want to make sure that whatever it is that you're going to do, there's reinforcement for that, right? So whoever you need to get on board, like the team wants to do this, they're behind it. Have you ever seen them this excited? Have you ever? Right? They want to do it. So we need X, Y, and Z to make it happen. Can you just give us X, Y, and Z? Yes? Awesome, right? So with the reinforcement that it's important, giving them the support, then they're going to have that aha moment, and hopefully, as they go through this, gain that ability, so now they can do this as a regular part of their job, or whatever it is, right? Maybe it's something at a volunteer group or something. You know, maybe use ADKAR for Agile Toronto, who knows? All right, so next idea, right? Continuing on this theme, maximizing return on involvement. So when you're interacting with people, there are a couple of different ways that you can do it, right? So somebody comes to you with a problem, and you can just solve it. How much change have you affected if you solve the problem yourself? Zero, especially because unless they watch you, they're like, you know, I got nothing else better to do than watch you solve this problem. I don't have my own job. No, they're going to be like, you got it? Good. I'm off to do something else. Okay? So I've simplified this, and sure, there are things you can sort of pick apart here and all that, but just go with me on this, humor me. So somebody comes to you and they say something like, how should I? Could you show me how to? Can you teach them how to? Please do this for us. Right? So whenever something is phrased at you in a certain way, as a person, you have an immediate gut reaction. Somebody says, hey, can you go do this for me? You're like, oh, okay, I'll go do that for you. So as a change agent, I would ask you to stop, pause, take a breath, and go, can I move this to a different level? So you asked me to solve the problem, but could I coach instead? It's like, okay, so somebody once came to me and they said, I really need you to go teach this team how to do planning poker. And I said, oh, okay, why? Oh, because they don't know how to do it well. Okay, that's cool. Have they been trained on it? Yes, actually, you trained them. Oh, okay. So you want me to go through the same training again? Yes. I mean, it was really good the first time. You're thinking if I just repeat, it'll solve your problem? You know, why is it that you think that they're not doing it right? Well, they've just changed, you know, they keep changing the points to be days. Oh, well, that doesn't seem, it seems like they know how to do it, but they're doing this thing. Okay, that's cool. So have you asked them why they do that? No. All right, so wait. A couple days later, I asked them. What'd they say? Because I asked them for everything in days. Oh, okay. Cool. So I was able to move that up to coaching, right? So that person learned that actually they were causing a problem. It had nothing to do with how that team, so if I had gone and I had taught that team how to do planning poker again, it would have been a complete waste of my time, his time, and their time, right? So for the purpose of this next exercise, we're going to think of solving the problem, teaching, mentoring, coaching, and the idea is that as you go up, less effort on your part, more effect with them. Now you could argue mentoring, teaching go the opposite way or whatever, but let's just go with me for this one. So anytime as a change agent that you find that something has come up and you have used one of these actions, you can do a personal retrospective on it and say, oh, okay, so what was the request? What action did I take? What was the result? okay, now that I have hindsight, if I were to do it over again, could I bring it up to the next level? Maybe you could, maybe you can't. But just going through that activity can help you when the next time somebody comes to you and says, hey, could you order us pizza? You're prepared. You're like, well, I could, but instead I will, whatever it is. All right? Great. So a good tool. All right, so lastly, this is something, we're not going to do an activity here, but just to something that can help you with all of this to determine what are some changes people might be interested in. Eliassen has this thing called the maturity matrix, which you can get off their website for free. You don't even have to put in your email, I don't think. But as an example, there's 60 of these things, right? So it's not, am I doing a stand-up or not? It's not, for a stand-up, as a team, we believe we're a 9.5, right? No, it's, if you're not doing it and you're trying to do Agile, yeah, well, you could do Agile without doing stand-ups or Scrum without stand-ups, but most teams that are successful with Scrum do stand-ups. Sustainable, right? So they all have these 5 levels. Sustainable would be that 80% of the people are participating every day. They don't really know why they're there, but they feel like in 15 minutes they're getting some value. Don't know what it has to do with Scrum, but they always get like some gossip, or they hear like a problem, or they get a problem of theirs solved. So no idea that they need to have a shippable increment every iteration. Don't care. They're showing up. Awesome. So you know what? As a Scrum Master, you're away for a week. They keep showing up. They don't know why, but they're there. They love it. They're getting something out of it. That's sustainable, right? So actually Agile, and if you don't already know this might be cool. Actually Agile is that before they walk out of the room, they understand where they are on track for that iteration to have a shippable, honest to God, yes, I mean it, not kidding, shippable increment. Something real that they can demonstrate that they could ship. Not that they would ship, but they could ship. If that's happening, that's a real stand-up, and they are Agile. Ideal would be they're sitting together like this. They have discussions all day long. I say, hey, Todd, could you help me with something? He says, I absolutely could. Right? Back and forth all day long. And you see there's a card wall. Cards are moving. Maybe not all day long, but every day some card moves. Do they need a stand-up anymore? I would say no. Right? They might, as a team, it's their decision, but that's ideal. Right? They've sort of gone beyond whatever Scrum was doing for them there. So that's fantastic. So in English, for each one of these, the idea is that as a change agent, you want to get it up to sustainable, because that's you, right? If you're the Scrum Master as the change agent, you're like, please, could you just go to the stand-up, right? All this energy every day, pretty soon you're going to be burnt out, right? And then maybe they're like, wow, that person's really gone crazy. Let's get a new Scrum Master, right? So then, oh, does that happen? So you get all these things that are against you, trying to crush you, right? So you don't want to be that poor little butterfly crushed, by the change. So you want to try to get these things to sustainable. All right. So for each of these 60 things in a whole bunch of different areas, right, you've got organizational support, team dynamics, team structure. I was going to sort of bring you through it, but I'm not going to bother now. Sort of low on time. Team structure. So team dynamics, right? Are people getting along well? Team structure. How many people are in the team? Are they near each other? Are they 20% dedicated to each of their 5 projects? Is there a product owner? Are they using Invest? Have they ever heard of Invest? Process mechanics, like the stand-up, same thing for the retrospectives. Engineering practices. Maybe they're not doing pair programming, but maybe they're doing TDD. Maybe they're not doing TDD, but they're testing before it gets released, right? That's a good step. Right? Maybe they're testing within the same iteration that the changes are made, right? So all different things. So the cool thing here is that since there are 5 levels and 60 things, staying where you are is not an option. So going from 0 to 1, right? So there are 4 increments of change you could make starting from nothing times 60. There are 240 small changes that you could investigate as a team just by looking at the chart. And they're not special or proprietary, right? They're just like the things I just showed you. Okay, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your time. I'll take Q&A in a moment. It's been great to be here.